Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. A very warm welcome to yet another session in our Weekend with Wisdom series. In this series, we have been listening to a very, very important text in Advaita Vedanta, which is Shankaracharya's Prabodha Sudhakara. And guiding us through the talks, we have Swami Shantivratananda ji with us. Hari Om Swamiji, thank you for joining us.
Yo.
We'll begin this session with an invocation. Om. Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Revered Swami Shantivratananda ji is presently the Minister in Charge, Ramakrishna Vedanta Center, Dublin, the Republic of Ireland, after having served at Sri Ramakrishna Institute of Moral and Spiritual Education for about 8.5 years. Inspired by the life and teachings of the Holy Trio, treading his austere journey and undergoing various rigorous and intense training in Sanskritam, Vedic chanting, meditation, contemplation, and ritualistic workshops. He was initiated by the most revered Swami Ranganathananda ji Maharaj and initiated into monastic vows by the most revered Atmasthananda ji Maharaj. The motivational speaker that he is, through his inspiring and dynamic approach, has effectively counseled and revived many young students and adolescents from stress and depression. He was in charge of Balaka Sangha and Taruna Sangha Cultural Center for Boys and Adolescents. This is the second session in this series and the second and last session in this series. So with that introduction, I would like to invite Swamiji to take over the session. Over to you, Swamiji. Thank you.
Thank you, Hari. Jananim Sharadam Devi Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Nityanandai Karasam Satchen Matram Swayam Jyotihi Purushottamam Ajam Mesham Vande Shri Yadavadhisham. Dear spiritual aspirants, yesterday, around 10 to 11 chapters, we tried to discuss the overall meaning of each chapter of Prabodha Sudhakara. As already I mentioned, It is unknown or unpopular treatise, Prakarana Grantha of Adi Shankaracharya. And what is Prakarana Grantha? We have seen. And what are the chapters yesterday we discussed? It was quite interesting. It was like first itself started with Sharira Ninda Prakarana. Means the body, the physical body or the gross body was explained what all things it contains. So why are you attached to it, oh individual soul or individual self? Then Manoninda Prakarana, mind is highly volatile in nature, so you have to be careful. Then afterwards, Mano Nigraha Prakarana, how to control the mind, we discussed. Then Maya Siddhi Prakarana, what is Maya? Then Advaita Siddhi Prakarana. Like this few other chapters we did discuss. And there we see very nicely, the scheme was very nice. One after another, step by step, the author is trying to introduce the concepts, the main tenets of Advaita Vedanta, and is trying to make us understand what is Advaita Vedanta and how to desuperimpose, how to remove our ignorance, our delusion, so that we'll be able to understand who am I. So the whole goal of this Prabodha Sudhakara or any Advaitic text is how to make us understand who am I in reality and how it can be experienced. That is the goal of Advaita Vedanta. So what is the effect? Atyantika dukkha nivrutti paramananda prapti. Atyantika dukkha nivrutti, cessation of complete suffering, and paramananda prapti, attainment of permanent bliss or eternal bliss. So that is the goal of Vedanta. In the chapter 11, just we had started discussing. So we have got 6 verses. That is Kartrutva Bhoktrutva Prakarana. It is a chapter on the doership and enjoyership. The author, he makes a very interesting point that because of the ignorance, we feel that I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. But in reality, the self, if you see from the point, from the reality point of view, that is self or Atman or Brahman, it is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. It is only mere witness. It is a mere only sakshi. And these ideas has been beautifully discussed even in Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya, they say that either you are enjoying or you are suffering. You are doing some action, you are not doing any action, or you have become lazy basically. So any of these type of dualities, and you are suffering, you are stressed, whatnot, all these things belongs to your body and mind, not to yourself. And that all that qualities are part of Prakriti, nature of Prakriti. It is not the nature of Purusha. The same idea also has been told, discussed even in the Vedanta. All these things, all these qualities, whatever we are obsessed and we are so much worried in day-to-day affairs, all these things belongs to your mind or your intellect, maybe feelings, maybe emotions, maybe thinking. All these things belongs to your mind, which is a part of subtle body, but not the self. But we are mistaken and we are suffering. So that mistaken has to be rectified. And because of that mistake, we feel that I am doing, and I may, here Bhoktrutva means it is not the, enjoying, it is experiencing. Why? Because sometimes you may experience good, sometimes you may experience bad. Sometimes you experience joy, sometimes you experience sorrow. Sometimes you experience profit, sometimes you experience loss. So everything has to be experienced. So it is with full of dualities. Because we have got attachment to the body and mind, and because we have got desires, that is the root cause, that is the reason we are feeling that we are doer. Means I am the doer and I am the experiencer. And the author denies this, and he gives a beautiful example. Say at sunrise, in the olden days, now because of electricity and other things, now a lot of changes is happening. And especially in the city, even late night, probably 12, 1 o'clock, still people are busy and traveling and happening things. But in generally, when sunrise, all our activities starts, resume. And when sun sets, slowly, maybe except eating and some recreational activities, most of professional activities are stopped. But sun never feels that because of me, or all these people are doing, or because I am doing that, or I am the cause, or I am the reason for their activities. He never feels that. Just he rises and he sets. Of course, sunrise and sunset itself doesn't happen. Even say, for argument's sake, if you take it, sunrise and sunset as a reality, then sun never feels that he is the agent or he is the doer. Because of that, all activities is happening. He doesn't feel. And also, one more important point has to be noted here is sunlight. Sun is impartial. His light is fallen on everybody, on everything. Oh, you are a good person. Okay, my light is more for you. You are a bad person, or you are a wicked person. You are a sinner. So my light will not fall on you. You are a mediocre, so some light will fall on you. No, he doesn't discriminate. He doesn't do any partiality. More than that, sun falls on good place. Maybe on flower. Maybe on all the good items. And sunlight falls also on the filthy items, on the dirty items. Because since sun rays or sunlight, fell on the good items, so it became pure, it became clean, it became fragrant. And since sunlight is falling on the filthy items and dirty items, by that did sun become dirty? No. Neither it became pure or fragrant, nor it became dirty. So sun is not attached, sun is not perturbed, or sun is not changed or affected by any of these external things. So similarly, the self is neither the doer nor the experiencer, and he is mere witness. And you may, individual self, our body and mind may do good actions and bad actions, but self is not tainted by that. So only your body and mind is getting purified, body and mind is getting tainted by one's own actions, by one's own thoughts, by one's own feelings, based on good and bad actions and feelings and thoughts. So only body and mind is getting tainted, but not the self. So that has been beautifully explained in this Kartrutva Bhaktritva Prakarana. And the author, he gives one more example. Now say, in the blacksmith, in his shop, he is heating the iron. A particular piece of iron is continuously heating. After a good amount of time, he exposed the iron rod in the fire. The iron rod became red hot. Then he started hammering that, so that whatever the desired shape he wants to bring it. So he's trying to hit and he's trying to bring the shape, the desired shape on that iron rod. Now, in the iron rod, which is where red hot iron is there, so that means what? Why the red hot iron has become, the iron has been in the iron, why that redness is there? Because of the fire. That means the fire and heat is there. And now on the red portion of the iron rod only, the blacksmith is beating time and again, and he's trying to change the shape, or he's trying to bring the desired shape of the iron rod. Does any time feel that? Does any time fire feels that I have been hit? I have been hit by the hammer and I am painful? No. He's beating for iron first and foremost. Though the fire is there in that, fire never feels that I have been hit by the blacksmith and I am feeling pain. Oh my God. The fire doesn't feel agony. It is unperturbed. You may say, oh, Swamiji, come on, this is a common sense, even child will understand. Fire doesn't have any feeling. Fire doesn't have any life. Fire doesn't have any consciousness. So it doesn't feel there is a pain. So how can you say that non-living being feels? Yes, you are right. But consciousness is not there, we cannot say, because consciousness is all pervading. So consciousness is there also. But only the feeling of consciousness is not there, because reflecting medium is not there. But here, The intention of the author, quoting this example, is whatever you are doing, the actions, you are neither the enjoyer, experiencer, nor the doer. That both belongs to your body and mind, not for yourself. You are the self, you are the Sat, existence, consciousness, Chit, or awareness, and Ananda, bliss absolute. That is your true real nature. So try to understand and be detached from all these things. And he also quotes Mundaka Upanishad. So Mundaka Upanishad also confirms that the self is neither the Karta nor the Bhokta. And I think beautiful example is also, one more example is given either in this book, and even Sri Ramakrishna also gives the beautiful example. There is a lamplight. Someone is reading Bhagavatam. Someone is writing a love letter. Someone is cooking with the help of lamplight. And someone is doing a forgery. By any of these things, does light get perturbed? Does light get tainted? Does light get, affected? No. Oh, because in my light, people are reading, a person is reading a Bhagavata, I became pure, I became holy. Oh, this fellow is using my light and is doing a forgery so that I am getting tainted, I am getting a sin. Does any time light feels? It doesn't feel. Why? Because light is not perturbed, light is not affected by any of the actions. So similarly, the self is also not affected actually in reality by any of the individual's actions. Only we feel that, oh, something happens to me, I feel that as if it has happened to me, but it has not happened to me, it has happened to my body and mind. So this idea has to be understood time and again clearly. So Naham Karta, Naham Bhokta, we have to make it clear again and again. And also he ends this chapter saying that the self does not cry if someone dies, and nor rejoices because someone is living. Someone dies, he doesn't cry. He's leaving, he doesn't rejoice also. Of course, sometimes if you don't want we hate some people, if they are leaving also, we don't rejoice. We feel crying actually. But in generally, when someone passes away, we cry, we tears, we are unhappy. And when our dear ones, when they are leaving, we are also happy. But again, all this nature, it is pertaining to our body and mind. It is not pertaining to self. So self never cries nor rejoices. That doesn't mean it is insentient, it is non-existent. No, we should not mistake it. It is pure awareness. It is beyond all these dualities. That's what we have to understand. Next, the chapter 12, we have only 5 verses. It is Svaprakashata Prakarana. I already told that because of hearing all these things, then you should not think that the consciousness is dull or it is insensitive or it is non-existent and all. This type of question may come, this type of doubt may arise in our mind. That's why in the next chapter, he's telling the nature of the self is self-luminous. Now you are able to see my face. Here it is 5:30. In this time, 5:45 now. So from I think December to March, our sunrise happens almost 8:30. After 8:30 only sunrise happens. So it is pitch dark here. But still the viewers are able to see my face. Why? Because of light. And similarly, if I have to see any object in the world, maybe water, maybe even including the sky, or maybe a phone, cell phone, any object you have to see in the world, you need a light. Maybe electricity light, maybe, or sunlight. Then only we can see the objects. We can touch and we can feel the objects, but to see the objects with the high physical eye, we need light. But to see the sun, do you need a torch? Do you need any more light? No, because it is self-luminous. So you don't need any other light to see the sunlight. So similarly, to see the electric light, maybe a tube light or mercury bulb or LED light, you don't need anything. Why? Just to put on the switch, you need a light. You may need a light. But to see the light, you don't need a light because it is self-luminous. Or it is luminous, basically. So similarly, to know the Brahman or Atman, you don't need any light. Why? The Atman is self-luminous. That is a beautiful idea or a grand idea. And here author gives an example like sun, moon, fire, light. They have got their own light. With that help, many things are lighted. So we need light to perceive other objects, but we don't need light to perceive them. Why? Because they are they are self-luminous and the light is emitted from them. Similarly, we all get the knowledge through sense objects, no doubt, through sense objects, through mind, intellect, all these things, fine. But we need self, otherwise we don't get the knowledge. So this Vedantic perception, we should keep it in mind. So how the Vedantins explain the perception? Say for an example, there is a hand, my hand here. So I am able to see my hand. And whoever is the online viewers, you are able to see my hand this. How? So according to the Vedantins, the physical eye, it goes and it sees. It takes the form of an object sort of. And the consciousness, it goes through this eye and it takes the form of an object and it illumines, it lights. Then when it takes the particular form of my hand, then with the help of the sense with the help of sense and mind, you will be able to understand that, okay, there is a hand or it is Swamiji's hand. This is what, of course, these perceptions, how it happens in every philosophy, there are different ideas, a different way of explaining. This is what Vedantic perception. So according to them, so without self, without the help of self, senses, sense organs and mind, no perception is possible. And there self is must. The self light is must. That's why self is omniscient. Without self, you cannot know anything. So this is what the underlying idea here. So self is self-luminous. You don't need any light to understand the self. Then the next question, the author raises that with the help of self, we understand other objects. But how do we know the self? If you ask me, the self is known by itself. You don't need anything else, any other instrument of knowing or instrument of knowledge to know the self. Why? It is self-luminous. And in the chapter 13, again, it is a short verse, short chapter. It has got 6 verses. It is Nadanu Sandhana Prakarana. And this chapter, especially when I was going through or when I was studying, it was quite interesting. He speaks of Anahata Dvani. He speaks of Pranava. Pranava is considered as very auspicious in our Hinduism, as we know. Any mantra we start with Pranava. And why? Because as per the philosophy or as per our belief, the God created 2 words at the beginning of the creation. What are the 2 words? One is Omkara and the other is Atha. If you see Brahma Sutra, Atha to Brahma Jignasa. Atha is equal to Omkara. Instead of chanting Omkara, if you chant Atha, yes, it is like a synonym. So it is also very auspicious, very Mangalakara Pada, that is Atha. And in the Spotana Vada, there is a lot of discussion about this whole the world, how it has been emerged from the sound. And even the Bible also, we see the God created the world out of sound. All these things have been discussed. Wonderful. And here, probably keeping that in mind, the author is trying to discuss few things. And he makes a very interesting point. Until now, in any other it's Bhashya literature, Shankaracharya's Bhashya literature, or in any other places, I've never heard. First time I also came across this new idea. He says that if your meditation is very qualitative, very deep, and even for 1 minute, imagine, for 1 minute or half a minute, if you can experience the nature of Atman, or I am that Brahman, Aham Asmi Brahma, if you can experience, you will hear the Omkara sound in your right ear. First time I also heard. just for 1 second, not even 1 minute, just 1 second or half a second, if you experience that I am that Brahman, you will be able to hear the Omkara with your right ear itself. Now, please don't ask me whether is it true, Swami. Why? Because I have not experienced this one. And but only I can say, even just a vague, just an experience that I am that Brahman, that can give tremendous confidence in people's life. So for an example, I have seen a sadhu, Revered Swami Kamalanji Maharaj. He had undergone angiogram. He had a diabetes also. His health conditions was not very stable because of his old age and other things. And once again, he had a severe heart pain. I was just a novice. I had joined the Ramakrishna Math, Tulsur, Bangalore. Then the pontiff asked me to accompany him and serve him in the hospital. So he was taken to hospital for a week. He was admitted and a few other checkups were done and he was kept under observation. Very astonishing thing for me was, there was no fear or there was no feeling of any moroseness or whatever. And basically he was unperturbed. Just like when he was in ashrama, when he was in a good condition comparatively, how he was jovial, similar way, in the same way, he's also jovial in the hospital and is nicely talking with the doctors and nurses, and is able, whenever they take him to any checkups, he goes just like as if visiting a mall or visiting in a shop or whatever. Just he's going and finishing the checkups and he's coming back. I observed for 3 to 4 days, just young chap myself. Then after 3 days or 4 days, I was astonished to see even there is no iota of fear in him, in his face, and there is no reaction, mano vikara in his mind, in his mind or on his face. I was really startled. Then I asked after 3 or 4 days, Swamiji, if you don't mind, I would like to ask a question. He said, okay, yes. You should not mind. It is a personal question. I said, no, you can ask. I said, Swamiji, I've been serving you in the monastery also. Now also I'm serving. But whatever it may be, when we come to hospital and when we are undergoing so many tests and you had acute chest pain and etc., generally probably sort of worry and sort of thinking what will happen, what may happen, all this type of worry or some thinking will be there. But I see in your case nothing happened, and as if just like you were happily living in the monastery, similarly you are living in the hospital also. How is it possible, Swamiji? Please let me know. What is the secret behind this? Then he told, oh, it is a good question. Okay. It is a personal experience. Okay, let me tell you. See, at some point of time in my life, at one time, I experienced that I am not this body. I am different from the body. So that has given me tremendous confidence in my life. That's why I have overcome the abhinivesha, the fear of death. So I don't have any fear that even tomorrow or today, now, even if I pass away, or if I understand that, okay, death has approached me and I am leaving this body, I will say bye-bye, tata, and obviously with full of happiness, I leave this mortal coil. I don't fear. I was astonished to hear that. He had that experience at some point of time in his life that he is not body, is not mind, is different from this gross body and mind. Imagine, just one experience, by that he was able to conquer the fear of death, abhinivesha, which is difficult for everyone. I may be billionaire, I may be like Mukesh Ambani, but still we have not conquered the fear of death, abhinivesha. But whereas that monk, he had conquered the fear of death, abhinivesha. Why? Because of the experience of self, I am the self. This is the greatness of Advaita Vedanta, or the glory of Advaita Vedanta. The moment you understand who are you, the moment you experience even just a fraction of a second, it creates a tremendous confidence in you so that your life is taken care. So many difficulties may come. So many problems may come. So many adverse circumstances you may have to face, but you'll be able to face and you'll be able to keep going forward. Why? Because you'll be knowing this. You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the emotions, you are not the feelings, and you are none of these things. You are the self and you are beyond this. So to attain this, to experience this, we have to do all this circus, and that's the reason you have to attend my Prabodha Sudhakara class. So that is, you have to be very clear. And again, he tells that when your mind meditation becomes very deep, and if you are able to fix your mind in the heart, spiritual heart, there also, if so, then also you'll be able to hear the Omkara sound. When in Anahata Chakra, when your mind goes to that level, then you'll be able to listen Omkara sound. And if your meditation is quite long and it is a quite deep, then once if your mind gets established there, he says that there is no more birth and death for you. You will be the liberated person. Why? Because your mind is fixed in Anahata Chakra and you are able to hear that Pranava, Anahata Dvani, then that means you don't have any more birth or any more death. You are a free person. Why? Because the mind is merged in that light of Anahata Shabda, Anahata Dvani, or in the Anahata sound. That's what, according to him, according to the author. So probably these things should make us more and more inspiring to do Vedantic sadhana, Shravana Mani Nidhyasana or whatever maybe. We should think more and more about these things. We should visualize more and more. We should feel and we should try to go forward in the spiritual life, so that we should, we should aspire for to hear the Anahata Dvani, so that we'll be free from this eternal samsara of birth and death, cycle of birth and death. So the moment you understand who are you, either at that time or at the demise, or even when the body leaves, what happens? Manolaya Prakarana. That's what has been discussed beautifully in the next chapter. Your mind is dissolved. When I die, mind is not dissolved. Mind is carried over to the next life. But once you are either a Jivan Mukta or Videha Mukta, whatever it happens, at the fragment of your life, your mind is dissolved. When death happens, mind is dissolved because you are a liberated person. Otherwise, even in the, if you have got a Jivan Mukta, the mind is existing, but it cannot perturb you anymore. That is the difference between a common person and the liberated person. So he travels from what to so what. Sri Ramakrishna beautifully tells to one of his disciples, Master Mahashaya, who is the author of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It is that, look, if this Kamarpukur, his birthplace, he says that if this world would have been true, then I would have covered entire Kamarpukur with the golden layer. That means what? We have to understand that the world is an appearance, it is not true. And Sri Ramakrishna was well aware of it. Now, Manolaya Prakarana, we shall try to see and understand. What is the best way of merging the mind? Or how the mind will be merged, as we discussed at the last fragment of the previous chapter. Now, the same idea is taken in the next chapter, in this chapter, that is Manolaya Prakarana, and it has been discussed in detail. And author says that, why should we aspire for it? He says that in every birth, either as an animal, as a bird, or a worm, or as a human being, we are undergoing tremendous sufferings. And all our difficulties, all our sufferings, any type of suffering maybe, it can be classified, categorized into three classes, three groups. One is Adidaivika, Adibhautika, and Adhyatmika. So every being is suffering, has been suffered from these three types of suffering. If you want to get out from this, if your mind is tired enough, oh my God, let me put a full stop for this. If you want, then the only way is to understand, who am I? Before birth, did I exist? After death, do I exist? If I exist, in which form? And what is my real nature? That's what even Nachiketa asked to Yama. Some say that before death, something existed. And after death, something exists. And you are the Lord of death. So after death of a being, what happens? You know, but and you are the right person to say after the death whether an individual, he survives. If he survives, in what extent or in what way? So you are the best person. Kindly tell me. Yama was startled to listen to this question of probably 8 or 9 years of age of Nachiketa. And he tries to tell, no, this is very difficult. You ask some other boon and all. But Nachiketa says, no, I want this only. Then Yama teaches him Brahma Jnana, Brahma Vidya. So the moment when we understand who am I, then this mind gets dissolved. Mind ceases to exist slowly. So how to extinct our suffering? How to put an end to our suffering, if you ask? Not by earning money, not by having a good wife or husband, not by becoming a celebrity, not by becoming a very famous person or whatnot. By all these things, no. You may get some joy, no doubt, but sufferings continues to exist. The 3 types of sufferings. The only way to end all these things is by having a self-realization, by knowing who am I. And he gives a beautiful example also. Just like the river joins the ocean, and it gets merged in the ocean, and it loses its individuality. Like Ganga, Kaveri, Tungabhadra, Narmada, Ghataprabha, Malaprabha, like so many rivers are there. Brahmaputra, like that. So all the rivers have got their own existence, individual existence. But when they get merged in the ocean, where to show? Can you show in the ocean? Okay, this is the Kaveri water. This is the Ganga water. This is the Tungabhadra water. This is the Satlej water. This is the water from Saraswati river. Or this is from Brahmaputra. Or this is from Jayamangala. This is from Bhima. Can we show that? No. There it is only all water has been merged. It is only ocean. Ocean water. So similarly, this reflected consciousness, individual reflected consciousness exists, and that's why we are feeling that we are suffering. The moment when we understand who am I, what happens? Whatever the break was there, the so-called division was there, division has been removed, then the individuality, the so-called individuality has been removed, then just like the river got merged in the ocean and it became an ocean, here also I lose my individuality. Then what happens? Then I cease to exist. I cease to exist means the individual feeling, I am separate from everyone, everything. That individual's feeling of separation ceases to exist. How to explain? For an example, there is half an acre of land with you. For some reason, between you and your brother, there was a tussle. Then both of you decided that, okay, we will divide our property. Half an acre of land was there. Since it was divided, then both of you took the quarter acre of land each, then you put a fence. Till yesterday, it was a single plot. And just you put a fence now, because it has been divided, now it became 2 lands, just by putting a fence. But really, by putting a fence, can you divide the land? No. It is just a fence is a mark between you and your brother. The moment you remove the fence, for whatever the reason may be, the moment you remove the fence, then again it gets merged. Were it separate actually? They were not separate. Only there was a dividing line, so-called dividing line. That's why we were feeling that it was 2. But the moment you remove the fence, then it becomes 1. And the beautiful example is Ghatakasha and Mahakasha. The space in the pot and the space outside. It appears that both are different. The moment the pot has been broken, the space in the pot gets merged in the Mahakasha, in the space, in the universe space. So similarly, the so-called individual consciousness is merged in the supreme consciousness. Then this mind ceases to exist. And that is the only way to end our suffering. And also, he gives a beautiful example. Why this example is given is because you may get a question. Okay, Swamiji, you are telling so much the glory of Atma Vidya, the glory of Advaita Vedanta, or the glory of the Advaita knowledge, that is self-knowledge. I shall struggle. I shall maybe struggle and suffer if need be. Though it is not suffering, but still, I will have a self-knowledge. I will have a self-realization. Say, for example, what is the guarantee that again I will not come back to this world and I will not take birth? What is the guarantee? If you ask, this question may come for us. That's why this particular example has been given by the author. He tells that the milk has been converted into curds, then curd has been churned, butter has been formed, and you heat the butter, and now the ghee has been done. Fine. Now, wonderful ghee, very tasty, delicious, nutritious, or whatever, ghee has been done. Then after some time you felt, no, I want milk only. Because now I would like to have a coffee or tea, I need a milk, so I don't have a milk. So better, I will retransform the ghee to milk. Though you may think, but is it possible to do it? It is not possible. You cannot turn back the ghee into the milk. So similarly, once you are realized person, you are no more bound and nothing in the world can bind you, so that, so you can be rest assured and you will be eternally free. Okay, for now I am free, I will become free, or next life I may become free, or even they say Mahapralaya comes, afterwards everything gets destroyed and again new cycle starts. Then what happens then? Then again should I come back then? Because the new creation, new cycle of creation has started. People can think all these things. If you ask, the author and the scripture say that no. Once you are liberated person, how many creations may come and go, but you will not be coming again. So that has been assured by all the acharyas, all by the great saints, prophets, incarnations. So we can take it as far as granted, and we can strive for self-realization or God-realization. And he also gives a beautiful example that the consciousness is common between the seer, drashta, seen, drishya, and drishti, that is seeing. So try to understand that consciousness alone is true, and it is just like a bedrock, it is substratum behind every object and behind our understanding, every action and every conversation, every transaction. So try to understand that which is behind everything, that is consciousness. The moment you understand that, slowly, you will be liberated from all these problems and suffering. And also he gives one more beautiful example of the mirror. There's a beautiful mirror, and I went and I'm looking into it and I'm combing my hair and etc. But suddenly, by accidentally, and I was able to see my face, and I was correct my color, and I was probably using some cosmetics, snow powder and all. Suddenly, unfortunately, the mirror fell and it broke. I was able to see my face, the reflection of my face. Now, because mirror has been broken, I'm unable to see my reflection. Does it mean I cease to exist? No. Before seeing into the mirror, I was there. After the mirror has broken, still I exist. Only my reflection ceases to exist. Why? Because the mirror is not there. So similarly, what happens when I realize only the reflective consciousness, just like in the mirror we had a reflection of our face. So similarly, because of this individual, because of the ignorance, we are feeling we are individual. This reflective consciousness, so-called, whatever is there, that ceases to exist. The individuality gets dissolved, but the Atman was there, the self was there, and afterwards also it will be there. And even during this time, during that our journey also, the self is there. Only that individual consciousness, or feeling the individuality or reflective consciousness, only ceases to exist. You don't get ceases to exist. Because many people will feel that, okay, if I realize, then I get merged in the Brahman, means what will happen to me? So there will be no one to say that me. Because when I say that I am that Brahman, yesterday only I said, when I say that I am that Brahman, at least there's some sort of very fine sense of duality. I and Brahman are different. When you are experiencing, you are the Brahman. When you become the experiencer, when you become the Brahman itself, then where is the point to, or where is the question of saying that, okay, what will happen to me? You have become Brahman actually. You are experiencing that bliss. It is just like in deep sleep. When you are entering the sleep, you will understand that you were sleeping, fine. But when you are in the deep sleep, you will never say that, or you cannot experience that you are in the deep sleep. Only after coming out from the deep sleep, you can say that based on the experience and memory, yes, I had a deep sleep. If someone is saying, oh, I am in deep sleep, I am in deep sleep, I am in deep sleep, then definitely we can understand that we can, it is confirm that he is not in the deep sleep, he is lying. A person who is in the deep sleep, he can never speak, just like dead body. Oh, I am the dead body. Can any dead body say that I am the dead body, I am the dead body? It can never say. Dead body can never say I am the dead body. It is self-evident. So similarly, I am the self is self-evident. And the moment when we experience that there is no problem of losing of individuality, rather I will be blissful. And Swami Vivekananda defines individuality with a beautiful meaning, which I liked it very much. That is, what is the meaning of individuality? The meaning of individuality is indivisibility. What a beautiful meaning it is. Individuality means indivisibility. Indivisibility is when it is possible, the moment when we understand we are self. So we need not to feel, oh, what will happen to me when I realize, will I be lost? You don't feel, you need not to fear. So the author is indirectly is assuring us, don't fear for that. So when you understand all these things, in reality, what happens? You get an awakening actually. You should get awakening, inner awakening. What is true? What is false? What is right? What is wrong? More than that, what is reality? And what is an appearance? This inner intellectual awakening, at least we should get it. So that's why the author has, how logically the author has taken the chapters and how he designed. The next chapter, 15, yes, named it as Prabodha Prakarana. What is Prabodha? Awakening. Intellectual awakening, spiritual awakening. Every day we get up from the sleep. That is also a type of awakening. Here, Prabodha awakening is intellectual awakening or spiritual awakening. What is that intellectual spiritual awakening? I am the self. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the thoughts. I am not the emotions. I am not the feelings. I am not things. I am not house. I am not my mobile. I am not my vehicle. Something happens to mobile. Something is happening to me. For my mind, I am not bothered. But because my mobile fell down and something happened to my screen guard, immediately I started feeling, something, a crack happened in screen guard. Yeah. We're so much perturbed. There's a scratch on my two-wheelers. Some fellow, because of his rash drive, there's a scratch on my two-wheelers. And so much we are feeling bad about it. Whole day took out. Because of that, my mind is, I am getting down. I'm becoming down. I'm not bothered about it. Because there was a scratch on my two-wheeler, I got perturbed. Means so much adhyasa, so much attachment to my vehicle, as if the scratches happened to me. Sometimes so much delusion and ignorance can be there in the people and in us. You have to be careful. So awakening should happen. And how this consciousness exists in a being, author gives a beautiful example of jaggery. Jaggery has got sweetness. We all know that. Okay, a lump of jaggery is there. It is sweet. We all know that. Now you break it, very small piece, a tiny piece of jaggery, and you take it. And if you want to test whether jaggery, in this small piece of jaggery, does sweet exist? Yes. How can you say? You taste it. When you take the small piece of jaggery and if you taste it, even in that small piece, jaggery exists. So the jaggery and the sweetness cannot be separated. They are inseparable. So similarly, the consciousness cannot be separated. That is the essence of everything. The moment you remove the sweetness, then the jaggery, whether it is there or it is not there, it doesn't make any sense for us. So the moment you remove the consciousness, so nothing ceases to exist. So this consciousness is just like a sweetness in the jaggery. It is there, all pervading. So we should try to understand. And whoever has experienced the self, then he'll be able to understand that self and self alone exist, and self is appearing as this world. How? That's why the Advaita Vedanta didn't say how it appearing. What is the reason how it appears? They say avarna and vikshepa. Avarna is covering. So the self has been covered, and vikshepa. Vikshepa is what? Vikshepa means it is projected, thrown out or projected. So, because our senses, our mind and intellect has been probably designed in such a way that it is throwing out this world. First is self has been covered, avarna, by the thick veil of ignorance, and it has been projected as this empirical world. That's why Vedanta doesn't accept the theory of creation, it accepts in the theory of projection. Even, of course, for that point, even Vedas also doesn't accept this creation. Creation started so many years before, and afterwards it is there. And after so many years, maybe millions of years, it ceases to exist. And again, new creation starts. They don't accept even the Vedas. Why? Because even the Purva Mimamsikas, they understand and they argue that this creation is eternal for them. And the Vedantis never accept the creation. They only say that it is projection. It's again beautiful idea and very scientific also. So this idea of projection should be thought over. So the person who has got the self-experience will be able to see the world as self, or self is appearing as the world. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. So that we can remember here. And also author says to explain, he tries to explain this by explaining the three states of experience. In the Jagrat, waking state, Swapna, in the dream state, and in the Sushupti, in the deep sleep state, and in Turiya. Turiya is, of course, different. And in these three states of experience, you'll be able to know, or you'll be able to understand that self exists. So the self is a reality. So try to understand this. Different states are not reality. The self alone is real, and that is yourself. And he gives a beautiful example how this individual existence, individuality, or individual life, or individual person has come into existence. If you ask me, he gives a beautiful example. He compares the Brahman as an ocean of consciousness. It's a big ocean of consciousness. Fine. Just in the ocean, there is a wind. Because of the wind, a lot of waves are formed. So similarly, in this ocean of consciousness, there is a wind called karma. Karma wind is blowing, it seems. Since karma wind is blowing, so many waves are formed, and these waves are not. What are these waves? These waves are individuals. In the ocean, wind flow, wind blown. So a lot of waves have raised, and again it subsided in the ocean. So similarly, in the ocean of consciousness, the karma wind has blown. So many, individual beings have been raised as a waves, and again it's as just like wave raised in the ocean, and it subsided into the ocean. The so-called individual has been raised in this ocean of consciousness, and again it gets merged in the ocean of consciousness the moment when I realize. And why? Because of this karma, it is there. So we have to take care of our karma. So you cannot do any and other action, either physical action or mental action in the way you want. Why? Because of that only you are either experiencing or enjoying and suffering, you are bound to this world. So take care of this karma. First, you have to do only the prescribed karma, not the prohibited karma. And afterwards, slowly, even dedicate the fruits of action to the lotus feet of the Lord of every action, so that let it be karma yoga, and so that you can have the chitta shuddhi, and this karma will not bind anymore, and you can be liberated person. And how this knowledge happens, the self-knowledge, if you ask me, according to me, in 4 stages, this gradual evolution, gradual understanding of the self happens in individual being. All the individual beings across the globe, if you categorize, 4 states of evolution happens in us. This is not told in the scriptures. When I was thinking about this, when I was studying the scriptures, when I'm thinking, that's how I felt. Materialistic people are the base level people. They say that self and all these things are nonsense. It is false. And we don't know whether it exists or not, but the world is true, world is real, and we have to enjoy, we have to experience. Just like Charvakas. Asmi dehasya bhutasya pranagamanam kutaha runam krutva advutam pivet. When this body has been reduced into ashes, then where is the question of coming? So even you may borrow the money, you may cheat some people, you may take a debt and enjoy the within game. Means enjoy the life, have a good life, have a merrymaking, whatever. So since you are not coming back, then you don't bother. Even if you, for your enjoyment, if you have to cheat someone, you need not to bother. That is what the Charvaka philosophy. So like that. And some evolution has happened in the intellect or in the being, then they say, self, okay, may be true, but the world is true, world is real for us. Self, God, all suprasensual things, since I have not seen, people have not seen, so may be true, but I am not bothered also whether it is there or not, but world is true and real. I have to know how to live happily in the world and how to experience happiness always. Of course, they are always at the level of senses they keep speaking. And the third evolution, the third level of evolution is self is true. Yes, self is true, God is true and all fine, but world is temporary. Self is true, world is temporary. They are not saying world is unreal or world doesn't exist, they are not saying. But world is temporary, anitya. So mithya and anitya, there's a lot of difference. So many times we mistake the mithya to anitya. It is not so. Then the fourth point, or the fourth level, the self alone exists and self is appearing as the world. World is a dream, world is a mirage, it is an appearance. It doesn't have individual real existence or independent real existence. The world has got borrowed existence from the self. So self alone is true. From self is false and the world alone is true. Slowly we have to evolve, and we are keeping evolved, or we are getting evolved. We have to reach that self alone is real, and I am that self, and that has been, we have to experience it, and that self has been appearing as this world and its objects. So these 4 steps of intellectual progression are the spiritual maturity or intellectual maturity. And one who has got the self-experience, he has soaked in the infinite bliss, or he has become the infinite bliss. For him, all dualities, self and matter, I and you, he and she, and all these dualities ceases to exist. That has been told in this Prabodha Prakarana. When inner awakening happens, what happens? All the dualities ceases to exist for him. In the chapter 16, there are again, it is 18 verses. From here onwards, the author takes a diversion. He starts speaking about devotion. What is devotion? It is divine love. We all love people. Husband loves wife, wife loves husband. Parents love children, children love parents. I love friend, or I love things. All these are materialistic love, worldly love. When this love is transformed, when this love is turned towards God, when this love is turned towards the highest thing, when the love is turned towards the supreme self or Parabrahman or the God, whatnot, that is called bhakti, that is called devotion. That is why the bhakti marga, the path of devotion, is one of the easiest path, as told by scriptures time and again. Why? Because we are all emotional beings. We have got a lot of emotions and we have got a lot of feelings, more than intellect for most of us, except few. And we love each other, and we also like to be loved. I love someone, and also at the same time I expect some people should love. Swamiji, in the world there is no one to love me. Of course, my parents have passed away, Swamiji, but no one is there to love. There are a lot of problems for many people. Many people come and keep on asking, what can I do, Swamiji? There's no one to love. At least on the lighter side, I keep saying, don't worry, I'm here to love you, so don't worry. Go ahead. So this type of insecure problem is becoming quite common in the Western countries a lot. And of course, in India also it is creeping in. So this has to be, the self-alienation problem has to be taken out. How? By loving God or by loving oneself. That is what? That is self. I am the self. And what is this devotion? And what is the glory of devotion has been explained beautifully in this Vidha Bhakti Prakaranam. And moreover, here they try to discuss the God's two types of forms. The Parabrahman, the Supreme Self, has got two types of forms. One is Nirakara, Nirguṇa Brahman. It doesn't have any attributes and it doesn't have any form. Sachidananda, Nirakara, Nirguṇa Parabrahman. The other is Sakara, Saguṇa Brahman. Sakara means it which has got a form, and Saguṇa, which has got divine qualities, is with full of divine qualities. So there are two types of forms for the God or of the God, and that has been discussed in this Vidha Bhakti Prakara. Now, lot of, at least if not now, in the earlier days, lot of discussions, lot of debates, and lot of quarrels have happened whether God is with form, God is without form. Only God is with form is true. God is without form is only true. And a lot of quarrels have happened. And for this, Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example and beautiful explanation also. God is with form, Sakara, yes, true. God is without form, Nirakara, yes, that is also true. And not only that, he is beyond that. So don't confine only the God into these two forms, my dear fools. That means God also becomes limited, because with your limited mind you are thinking, so you are trying to limit the God also. So don't try to limit the God. God is with form, it is true. God is without form, yes, that is also true. And he is beyond that. Fine. Well, how to understand this? And he gives an example of ocean and the ice. In the ocean, there's a lot of water. We all know that water doesn't have any shape, water doesn't have any taste, water doesn't have any color in reality. The water, in whichever the solid container we pour, that shapes it takes. We all know that. Now, like Antarctica or Arctica, or even in some other places in the ocean, because of the extreme cold, like -5, -10, -20, -30, or -40, or whatever, because of the extreme cold, the water has been condensed into the form of ice. When it is an ice, it has got particular shape. Yes. So when it was a water, there was no shape, there was no color. Fine. But because of the cold or whatever the reason, the water has been condensed into the ice, solid ice. Now, ice has got a color, white color, and it has got a shape. It may be some shape, it may be irregular shape, fine, but it has got some shape and form, isn't it? Yes. Then afterwards, because of summer or whatever reason, again the temperature rises and this ice got melted, and again it went into its source, that is water, isn't it? So this water is nothing but the Nirakara Nirguṇa Parabrahma, Sachidananda, Sachidananda Sagara. And when the devotees ask, when the devotees pray, or to help the devotees, to help the mankind, to uplift the mankind, the world descends avatara. Avatara means what? Ava and through. From these two words it has been coined, means one who descends, one who comes down, one who descends. So it takes a particular form and it descends on the earth to help the mankind. Just like now the water has taken the form of ice, it has got a form, it has got a color, it can be seen very clearly. So similarly, the God also has got forms, divine forms, which is Sakara, Saguṇa, Brahman. So both are true. And he is beyond that. Why? Because we cannot comprehend who is he or what is he. So we have to understand. And he also says that when the mind is pure and when it is endowed with the sattvic quality, and Rajasic and Tamasic is reduced to the full extent possible, then flash of lightning happens. Then the knowledge dawns. You will understand that you are that Brahman. And also you'll be, if that is the case for the Gnana, and that's the case for Bhakti also, then you'll be able to realize the God, you'll be able to have the vision of God, you'll be able to experience the God, at the same, or you'll be able to experience the self. So Chitta Shuddhi is very, very important. The purity of mind is very, very important. It is a paramount for spiritual life, has been explained by the author. Why? Without that, neither we can have Gnana, nor we can have Bhakti. We have to understand. And along with that, he's saying that who has devotion, who has unflinching devotion, at the feet of Lord Sri Krishna, Lord of Sri Krishna, he gets his vision, he gets God realization, he gets the vision of Sri Krishna. And not only that, if your mind is impure, and by devotional practices, your mind gets purified. That's what he says. How? Just like clothes are cleaned by salt water, that's like starch, so that the clothes have been cleaned. So similarly, when the mind is soaked in the bhakti, mind gets purified. So now you see, author is telling that the mind is getting purified by devotion. Now here, there can be argument. There are broad classification, two types of sadhana, scheme of sadhana. In the Advaita Vedanta, traditional classical Advaita Vedanta, they say that by karma yoga, you get chitta shuddhi. Purification of mind happens. Then by upasana or bhakti, you get chitta ekagrata. Concentration of the mind, steadiness of the mind, emotional maturity, whatever you may speak. You get that stability of the mind, you get concentration of the mind. Then by Gnana Yoga, either Savana or Manana, Nidhyasana or whatever, by Gnana Yoga, you will get Mukti. So finally, the Mukti has been brought by Gnana Yoga. That's why Gnana Reva Gari is for all Advaitins, for all Shankarites. Now, if you are the follower of Ramanujite, Vishishtadvaita, if you are a follower of Madhvacharya, Dvaitin, then they say, by Karma Yoga, by practicing selfless action, you get Chitta Shuddhi, purification of the mind, no doubt. But afterwards, we need Jnana Yoga. We have to understand who is God, what is God, and what is his nature, and what is the nature of this world, and what is the relation between me, the God, and the world. All these things, when we understand, when we get the knowledge, that helps me to get the devotion. That's why by Gnana Yoga, I get Chitta Ekagrata. And by the two, I will develop devotion. And through devotion alone, I can get God realization or self-realization. So this is the scheme of sadhana according to the theistic schools of Vedanta, the Vishishtadvaita or Dvaita. Now, Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, they tell that every path can be independent and they are not contradictory, they are complementary to each other. You can take one or two or all of this and you can realize the God or realize the self. So this is the other two ways is, theoretical, classical representation of the Vedantic thing. And after discussing this, the author makes a differentiation, or she starts explaining two types of bhakti. One is sthula bhakti, the other is sukshma bhakti. Gross bhakti and subtle bhakti. What does it mean? Means one is preparatory bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti, the other is raga bhakti, which is the supreme devotion. So, how to attain this elementary devotional or preliminary devotion, if you ask, God says that it can be done by worshipping the Lord through the idol worship. So idol worship has got a lot of significance and it has got a lot of scientific meaning. So we should not deny it, or we should not think that it is a superstition or a blind belief. No. Worshipping the Lord and being in the company of the devotees, in reality, real devotees. Who speaks of God always, not in the name of company of devotees, we keep talking all nonsense. That should not be, as much as possible. And trying to hear as much as possible the life incidents of the incarnations, maybe Krishna, Shiva, or whichever the God you like, or whichever the incarnation you like, and speaking truth and avoiding interest in other women, in others' wealth, and unnecessarily criticizing others, and doing backbiting. All these things has to be avoided. Some things has to be avoided, something has to be practiced, abhyasa and vairagya. By that, one can get preliminary devotion, or Vaidhi Bhakti has been told in the devotional scriptures. Then how to attain the advanced devotion, supreme devotion, para bhakti, or subtle devotion, that is to a sukshma bhakti, according to the author in this particular chapter or in the book. He says that one is detachment or dispassion in world and its affairs or and its objects. vairagya. Then interested in pilgrimage. Pilgrimage should not be a recreation. It should not be a picnic like. Many times we go to pilgrimage, we spend very little time with the God, and afterwards we do sightseeing and merrymaking, enjoying the life and all. Okay, you can do all these things, but the intention should be pilgrimage. So there's a lot of difference between pilgrimage and picnic. So mindset should be very proper. It all depends on mindset. When we go with pilgrimage, we should go with the pure mind, with the pure body, with the devotion, and we should also try to know what is the significance and what is the greatness, Talamahatme we say, of the history of that particular pilgrimage or that particular Tirtha Kshetra. Then automatically devotion will be, we can get more devotion. So with the devotion, if you go to visit any pilgrimage places, then you'll get spiritual benefit. Otherwise, just you will see a place and you will have a good time, probably from your mechanical life, from your hustle bustle of life, you will have some break and you will get relaxed. That's all. So that is okay. But more than that, when we go to the religious places, spiritual places, holy places, we should go with a lot of alertness. By that, you will get purity, and you will also try to contribute some good feelings, good emotions, good currents, good thoughts in that places. So we should go to pilgrimages, and we should always feel that if I am not able to think God, if I am not able to meditate on God, my life is getting wasted. My life is getting wasted by not seeing Him, by not visualizing Him, by not experiencing His presence. Viraha or vairagya or vakulata, we should try to have. And by these type of spiritual practices and devotional practices, one can get sukshma bhakti or parabhakti or the advanced devotion or supreme devotion. By that, what happens? The moment when you get the supreme devotion or sukshma bhakti, the Lord enters into your heart. What does it mean? It means you'll be able to experience the existence of the Antaryami. The God as an indweller is there already, but we are unable to experience, we are unable to feel. So when this Vaidhi Bhakti or Parabhakti or the Sukshma Bhakti happens, when you achieve that, you'll be able to experience that God is your indweller and is residing in your heart and is there everywhere. You'll be able to experience. The moment you experience, all our ignorance has been removed, all our delusion will be removed, then you will have no more birth and you will be the happiest person and nothing can shake you. And also he says that we should keep on hearing the teachings of scriptures and the saints and practicing mental worship, living in solitude, all these spiritual practices. By doing this, we can improve our devotion. And also he says that these are practices. Some things should not be done. One should not cheat people. One should not hate people. Rather, we should love and we should have a compassion towards every being. And we should be contented in whatever we have. We should struggle for higher things. We should struggle for more things, no doubt. But we should have a contented also. We should have contentment. At least I've got a square meal and I've got a few clothes to wear myself and I've got a place to live. Basic necessities have been taken care. Okay, in due course of time, let me earn more money and let me have more things, no doubt. But I should not be crying and I should not be lamenting. I should be content. And no feeling of I and mine. Everything is God's. Everything is God's will, God's wish. God alone exists. Or rather, I am the servant of God. I am the child of God. I am the friend of God. With any bhavas, we can worship Him. And we can see that by His will only everything is happening. That we should try to do more and more. So that what happens will be established in the devotion. And by that we'll have a God realization. The next chapter, 17th chapter, 10 verses are there. That is Dhyana Vidhi Prakarana. And how to do the Saguṇa Brahma Upasana or meditation. I think yesterday evening I took a class on objective meditation, that is devotional meditation. Guna Dhyana, Nama Japa, Guna Dhyana and Leela Dhyana. How to do it? Yesterday in our center, I had discussed these things in detail. So here also they are explaining Dhyana Vidhi Prakarana. Oh, imagine that Krishna is standing on the banks of Yamuna River. In the bank of Yamuna River, there's a beautiful place, holy place, beautiful place called Vrindavana. In the Vrindavan, under a kalparuksha tree, a cross-legged and on one feet, straight on the other feet, with a bit cross, having a flute, the Krishna is standing just like a great light because he's the he gives the light for the entire world. Because of him, the whole world is running, the whole universe is running, the whole creation is running. Such a person, such a great person, divine person, is standing in the Vrindavana under a tree, and his body smashed with sandal paste and camphor. And he has got a elongated eyes. That elongated eyes, so much so, it is going till near ear, it seems. So elongated eyes represents the gods and goddesses. Only they can have that. And a beautiful ears, and which are decorated with the Karna Kundala. Then here they have a couple of jewels, and he has got a divine smile on his face, and he's wearing a celestial necklace and other ornaments. And he's also taking the food with the gopas, it seems, with his friends, with cowherd boys. He is consuming the food, and he's shining in between in midst of forest, and there's beautiful creepers in and around him, and he's shining like a glorious sun is shining. So feel that. You should feel that with the love, with the devotion, with the good feelings, and you can meditate. So how to meditate on God's form has been explained in this chapter, and there are beautiful narrations about Sri Krishna, about his greatness, and about his leela. All these things has been explained in the 17th chapter. In 18th chapter, one of the biggest chapter, this is, that has got 34 verses. Here, Saguṇa Nirguṇa yor aikya prakarana. Either the God with form, God without form, both are one and the same, has been explained beautifully here. Brahman has got two forms, one is with form and one is without forms. And Puranas and the scriptures, Shrutis, Smrutis, Puranas, everyone has confirmed this. And how it is, already I have given an example of water and the ocean that you can remember here. Only he says that our ordinary eyes cannot perceive the Lord. That's why we need a special vision, special eyes. Probably, if you remember the Bhagavad Gita, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, there we can remember, Divyam dadamite chakshuhu pashyame rupam aishwaran. Krishna tells to Arjuna, oh Arjuna, you cannot see this cosmic form, universal form. Let me give you the special eyes, Divya Chakshu. Divya Chakshu, then you'll be able to see. Divya Chakshu means you will have got some special eyes. What does it mean? That is inner awakening. That has been beautifully told as Buddhi Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. The moment when we get inner awakening, then we'll be able to perceive, we'll be able to see the Lord. The Lord may be there in and around me, but we are not able to see. Why? Because that inner awakening has not come. The inner eyes have been not opened. So they say that by physical eye, the author says that by physical eyes, you cannot see the Lord. You have to have an inner eyes should be opened. So for that, we have to practice devotion. We have to do sadhana. And by His grace, when that inner eyes are opened, then you'll be able to see. And also, he explains a bit about Avatara. Sri Krishna has a body like me and you. He also underwent the 6 types of modifications. Asti, Jayate, Vardhate, Viparnimate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. Asti exists, body, Jayate. Krishna took birth in a Kamsa's jail, we all know that. Then Vardhate, slowly he grew. Then Viparnimate, after some age, no more growth, it is only changing. Then Apakshiyate started decaying, means in the old age, slowly, he's also becoming weak. Then Vinashyati, Krishna also died like us. Then how can you say him as a God? This type of question may come, you fools, but Krishna is not limited by any of these things. Body, because he has created this world and he has made these rules. As a result, he himself has taken up all these rules and regulations, whatever the rules he has made for others, he has taken on his body also, but is not limited by this time and space causation, and is not perturbed by this. He is not tainted by all these things. You have to understand the reality, and you have to understand the real nature of Krishna. Krishna is beyond time and space causation. He is beyond all these things, and he is the Sachidananda. He is God incarnate. And we should try to love him, and we should try to serve him, so that we will get his grace and we will have a God realization. And he tells a beautiful thing that Krishna is with so much love and compassion. How? Like there is a sparsha mani, a special jewel, like that. If you take the sparsha mani and if you touch any any metal piece, it immediately turns into gold itself. Sparshamani, these things and all in some mythological stories we come under. Chandramani, Suryamani, Sparshamani, these things and all. And suddenly someone on anger, he took a iron chain and he hit strongly on this Sparshamani. And Sparshamani got broke. Sparshamani broke into 2 or 3 pieces. But still, the portion of that iron or the iron chain which touched the Sparshamani, that it got converted into golden chain. The intention, if the iron chain has got a life, its intention was to break this Sparshamani, and the iron chain broke the Sparshamani, but still, because of the touch of the Sparshamani, this iron chain got converted into golden chain. So this is what the glory of the God. You may love him, you may hate him, but still there is a Lord's compassion. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Kamsa, Shakatasura, and so many demons, Ravana, and so many demons life we have seen. All of them, they hated the God at most. I mean, the devotee loves God, but he or she thinks the God probably sometimes to a certain time only, other times he may forget. But these people, they were constantly thinking. In the name of faith, they were constantly meditating and constantly thinking the God, and they wanted to kill or they wanted to trouble the God, but still they also received the divine grace. That's why they were all killed by God himself, and they received the divine grace, and they reached the Vaikuntha, or they became liberated. They're liberated person. That is the glory of the God. He's with full of love and is with full of compassion. He doesn't hate anyone. That's what the author is trying to tell. Then the chapter 19, again, it is one of the biggest chapter, 32 verses is there. This is Anugrahi Prakarana. How Sri Krishna, gave a lot of boons, or how his leela has been explained, like Putani. The author starts with Putani. Putani, she's the demon. She came by feeding the milk, poison milk. She wanted to kill baby Krishna. We all know that. She fed poisonous milk, no doubt, but she offered herself or her body or whatever, and Krishna, though he killed her, but he accepted her as his mother. What a status Krishna gave to her. Like the Shakadasura, Yamalarjuna, Keshi, Aghasura, and then I think Kuvalaya Pida, something that the demon comes in the form of elephant, or at least in the Kamsa's court, he makes a boxing or fighting with an elephant, and he makes a fight with boxers, including Kamsa, Shishupala. All these people were killed by Lord himself, and all of them got liberated. That's what the greatness of the Krishna has been explained, and his divine leela. Then Govardhana. So, Govardhana mountain he lifted, and he protected the people of Vraja or Vrindavan. All these things has been explained. And also his 10 avatars, Dashavataras, are also meant to uplift the humanity, to help the humanity. There he might have slayed some demons. Then how can you say that he's with love and compassion? He is all merciful. By killing the demons, one is the trouble to the world or the people, they are facing the trouble has been ended. Not only that, even these demons have got moksha, mukti, or Vaikuntha Vasa they have got. So God is with infinite mercy, infinite grace he has got, that we have to understand. So glory of Sri Krishna and his divine leelas, all these things are explained in the 19th chapter. So when we see this 18th and 19th chapter, so much the glory of Sri Krishna has been explained at the end of these 2 chapters, and that to so many verses. Sometimes authors and some commentators and some pundits, they say that this makes us to think either it might have been added by some others in the name of Adi Shankaracharya, these 2 chapters, or if the author has written all these 19 chapters, then somehow we doubt that it has been ascribed, or it has been written by Adi Shankaracharya in a Vedantic text. Suddenly he takes into the devotion, and he's gone discussing so much about Sri Krishna and his leelas and other things, which is unnatural in his Vedantic text. That's why we feel that it may not be the work of Adi Shankaracharya. Some of the pundits and some of the commentators, they have a difference of opinion by saying this last two chapters. Probably this has not been ascribed to Adi Shankara. Anyhow, this has got a wonderful thing given either by devotion or by knowledge, by the path of knowledge or by the path of devotion. One can reach God, one can reach self. So we should not have any problem from that point. So whatever the tenets of Advaita Vedanta, tenets of Bhakti has been discussed here, we can try to understand as much as possible. We can try to put into practice so that we shall be liberated and we should be happy and blissful at all times. That is our intention and that is our goal. That's how we should read the scriptures, and we should try to understand the scriptures, and we should try to get the benefit from the scriptures as much as possible. May Sri Ramakrishna bless all of us so that we shall go forward in our spiritual journey and we shall understand that ultimate truth or the self. Priyatam Pundari Kakshah Sarvayagneshwaro Harihi Tasmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam Prenite Prenitam Jagat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you, Swamiji. Dear seekers, requesting all of you to please post your questions in the Q&A box. And as they come, I shall read them out to Swamiji.
I think yesterday itself, one or two questions were left out. Is there any chance of seeing them?
I will try reviving them, Swamiji.
Of course, I mean, if the devotees have got any questions today also, they can ask. That's the reason I thought I will give you more time this time.
Thank
today.
you. Right. Yeah. Swamiji, this is one question I have. Is self-knowledge and self-realization one and the same?
Yes. Self-knowledge, when we say that, knowledge of the self. Self-realization means realization of the self. Like say for an example, okay, you got a fair knowledge about the Bangalore. Bangalore is the capital city of the Karnataka. It has got so much area, it has got so many population, and it has got so many things like High Court or Vidhan Saudha, and it is known as IT city and whatnot. So many things you had heard. So you had a knowledge about the Bangalore. And you got a chance to visit the Bangalore, and you visited the Bangalore, and you are seeing yourself. The Vidhan Saudha you saw, Lal Bagh you saw, High Court you saw, and IT hub you saw, and you traveled in the Infosys campus and all other things. So yourself, you have got experience of Bangalore. Earlier you had a knowledge about Bangalore, then you have got an experience of Bangalore. So that's what you can say that what is the difference, how to understand the self-knowledge and self-experience is same. This is in general, this is one explanation. The other explanation, self-knowledge, when we mean that I am that Brahman. It is not just mere intellectual knowledge. At first level, first is intellectual knowledge. When I say self-knowledge, means I am that Brahman, that is again, it is an experience only.
Right.
Yes. It starts with the knowledge. Like I am Brahman. I and Brahman are both are two things actually. It starts with, at the moment I experience, I am that Brahman. That is also called self-knowledge. Yeah.
Yesterday, now that I remember, one of the seekers had asked, you had spoken about the creation, Swamiji, and the different, what to say, manifestations and its levels, or how many components are there, like that. So he was referring to Bhagavad Gita and what has been given in Sankhya about the 24 uh, evolutionary components. So if you could add a little more about that.
Okay.
There was some
yes, theory of creation. Yeah. So according to the Sankhya, they say that when the Purusha is there as a witness, the Prakriti starts acting. So the Prakriti, from the Prakriti which is unmanifested, from the Prakriti, the first manifestation, first evolute comes as Mahat. Mahat is, can be said as Buddhi also, intelligence also. So from the Mahat, then Ahankara comes, ego. From Ahankara, from Sattva, again the Prakriti, as we all know that Prakriti has got Trigunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And in the Mahat and Ahankara, and in the Mahat, it is Sattva Pradhana. And when it comes to Ahankara, it is Rajo Pradhana itself. And in the Ahankara itself, but though it is a Rajo Pradhana, but still it has got Sattvika and Tamasic aspect also. From the Sattvika aspect of Ahankara, Dasha Indriyas, 5 Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas, and Manas has been emerged. Then from Tamasika portion of Ahankara, Pancha Tanmatras has been evolved. And from Pancha Tanmatras, Pancha Bhutas have come. And this Rajasika portion of the Ahankara will act as a fuel or will act as a propelling force to work. It will act or it will support the Sattvika Ahankara and Tamasika Ahankara to perform his actions. So that's how the creation has happened. That's what according to Sankhya. Now, if you say, what is about Vedantic theory of creation? They say that Brahman, with the help of Maya, it started appearing as this Prakriti or the world. We all know that. So from Maya, Pancha Tanmatras comes. And in Pancha Tanmatra, they give the theory, this Mahat and Ahankara, they won't tell. There is no concept of this Mahat and Ahankara in the Vedantic cosmos or cosmic theory. From the Maya, Tanmatras comes. From Tanmatra, they give an idea of Panchikarana. From Panchikarana, Panchabhutas have happened. Now say from Akasha, from Shabda, Akasha has happened. How? Half portion of Akasha and 1/8 portion of other 4 elements, like Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. All the 4 elements as 1/8, 1/8, and this is half portion. When all gets merged, then you will get what is Panchabhutas. Among that, it is Akasha. Similarly, from Shabda, Sparsha, Shabda 1/8 half portion, and all other 4 elements, 1/8 portion if it becomes, then it is Akasha, Vayu. Vayu comes. Then Agni, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa. Rupa it is. So half portion of Rupa and Shabda, Sparsha and Rasa, Gandha, 1/8 portion is mixed, then you will get Vayu. So then again Agni. Then you will get Prithvi. So the permutation combination of these 5 elements is nothing but this whole of universe. So this is how the Vedantic theory of creation has been, or projection has been explained. Again, there our intention is only to, quench our intellectual hunger. So Vedantins are not really interested in all these things. Only because we feel that we have got a question that why this world came into existence, how did this came into existence, how the world came into existence. This type of questions we have got since. So to quench our intellectual hunger that we explained. So finally, our intention, our goal is to reach self or to understand self. Yes.
Thank you, Swamiji. There aren't any more questions from the seekers today.
Interesting.
Yes.
So questions will not be having only at 2 times. One is you have understood everything completely nicely, and the other is you didn't understand anything. So now I don't know. Our attendees are in which level now?
Definitely, it should be the case where they have understood something.
I hope
Because
so.
I think today, with all the examples and some of the stories and incidents you mentioned, a lot of things were made easy to understand and relate. For me personally, definitely will
Yeah,
also be the case.
philosophical portions were less today actually than like yesterday. Yesterday it was very solid actually.
Indeed. Shall we conclude, Swamiji? Any closing statements?
Yeah, because I don't think any questions are there. Since there are no questions, we can close it. Yes.
All right, Swamiji. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you.
Seekers, please follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Indica Moksha is our handle name. Stay tuned and updated about further sessions and upcoming programs. Thank you so much once again.